So you might be asking yourself, who is this girl and why is she giving me advice? Well, my new friend, let me take a moment and introduce myself to you. I, like so many of us, had a really difficult, challenging childhood. The type of childhood that left me wondering if I was lovable, if I was good enough, what will my life be like? How will I be in relationships? Will I recognize love? How will I be as a mom? How will I treat myself when I'm older? What kind of relationships will I allow into my life as I grow? I always looked at life on a deeper level. I always felt a little bit different. And I also really found it to be soul level important for me to make sure that the people around me felt loved and that they mattered and that they were included. And eventually one day I realized that I needed to include myself in those values. So I've been on this journey where I've been collecting inspiration through ideas and through material that I've learned and through experiences that I've had and through every person that I've ever worked with on my journey or every friend who shared their story with me. And I realized that there's a part of me that's an educator that wants to share this information, that wants to share my experience and my knowledge that I've obtained throughout my life and spending my life just studying relationships and practicing the skills and tweaking them to make them even work for me even better. And on my journey, I went from being somebody who didn't know if I was lovable, if I could ever really be loved, if I was enough. I was an extreme people pleaser. I was codependent. And now, in my late 30s, I am an empowered woman. I am assertive. I do not settle for relationships that are good enough. They need to be incredible to stay in my life. I have broken the cycle, and I have an incredible marriage. And I have a son that I absolutely adore and feel beyond grateful that I get to be his mom. So I wanted to create this podcast for you, dear listener, because maybe some of the things that I've experienced or I've learned on my journey is something that you can apply to yours, or you can tweak it and make it your own to fit your journey so that you can allow yourself and give space for yourself to grow and become who you've always wanted to be, who you're meant to be on that soul level. So not only do I have my own life experiences, I have also spent my life working in the behavioral health field, in the mental health field, and I've also made sure that I have the credentials and the education to fully understand, and I continue to take trainings every year to make sure that I am up to date and that I am continuing to learn and practice the skills that are really truly going to help me create the best relationships that I possibly can have in my life, including and especially the relationship with myself. Through my journey, I learned that the most important relationship I'll ever have is the relationship with me. And I need to start there. And then it just ripples out and influences every other relationship that I have. So I do have a bachelor's in health and human development, a master's in marriage and family therapy. I also have an associate's degree as a wellness practitioner, which means that I also am a certified hypnotist. I'm a certified family life educator. I've studied holistic nutrition and also life coaching. So I've really spent my time studying this area so that I can tie in the research-based skills with the experiences that life has given me as well, so that I can deliver you experts and resources and awesome conversation that'll hopefully give you some things to think about and maybe shift your perspective or try out for yourself and see what you like and throw away what you don't. And anyway, I'm just so honored that you're here to share a piece of your journey with me. And again, I hope that part of my journey can positively influence yours. Welcome to the Beautifully Changed podcast. I'm Steph Perejamas, and I'm delighted you're here. Now, let's make your relationships awesome. Hi, cuties. Welcome to September. If you hear the pigeons in the background, they're on my roof serenading us today. I know these last several months have been quite challenging and hard in many different ways for everyone. And some of the ways are similar and some are so different. And I hope that you are taking time to find ways to add joy into your day. One of my favorite things to do that I think is really, really important in my own journey in this life, especially as challenges come up, is to make sure that every day has my little bliss moments in it. And I like to sprinkle them throughout my day so that it gives me that little boost of love and joy and alignment towards my goals and my dreams and my path and the life that is mine to have. So for you, if you want to do this as well, I would highly recommend you get out a piece of paper and write down things that you do on the day-to-day and things that you do that feel more special, that really bring you a lot of joy or bliss. I call this my bliss list. And I like to then categorize things into what I really enjoy and what is just okay. So I actually got this idea from Kyle Cease and I just added to it. So I watched one of his videos, like a conference he put on, Evolving Out Loud. And in it, he asked people to, think about the things that bring you joy and then rate them from 1 to 10, right? And I think if you work on him one-on-one, you probably get more information. But for me, I was like, that's a really great start. And now I wanted to add to it that make sure you add these in every day, and you can sprinkle in things that feel really good in your morning and your afternoon and your evening. And then also to treat yourself with the really more extravagant things that bring you bliss and joy, or things that you want to try to have the experiences with. And instead of just having this list of all these experiences you want and then never getting to have them. I think it's really important that we take time to experience this life in the ways that sound interesting and fun and exciting to us. And even if somebody else doesn't get it, to still do it if it feels good to us, if it feels good to you. So as you go forward to, sorry about that, I just smashed my face against the microphone. But as you continue through the rest of this year, add some joy into your day. Sprinkle it with bliss, moments of bliss, and they could be 5-minute moments or they could be an hour long, however you desire. And those things you don't enjoy doing very much, the things that are just like you have to do, such as for me, it's chores, find a way to lace them with some gratitude or appreciation. The fact that you even have dishes to do, there's gratitude within that, right? That you were able to make a meal that dirtied the dishes, that filled your belly, and, nourished your kids and all of that. So there's a way to change your mindset and your perspective while you're doing the thing that you don't enjoy that much. Like maybe paying bills isn't super exciting, but knowing that you have the money to pay the bills, there's appreciation in that. And so instead of focusing on the thing that you're not enjoying while you're doing the activity you don't enjoy, add some bliss or some joy or some goodness to it. Be aware of your mindset and see where it takes you. For example, payday used to be kind of like, it would be like an exciting day, right? I think payday is always exciting for many people. And I remember we were living in Oregon, and even though Keone was making good money, Oregon was expensive. Our apartment was so expensive, and one paycheck didn't even cover the cost of the rent for the apartment. And I remember just thinking, like, feeling defeated every single paycheck. And it was just this overwhelming, just like, oh, it's never enough. And then one day I was hanging up clothes. I was doing laundry and hanging up clothes in our closet. And I thought, oh, it's never enough. How are we ever going to get ahead? How are we ever just going to fully enjoy life financially, like being able to have these experiences and get to go do things? And then it just hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am being so unappreciative of the money that's coming in, and Keone going to work every day and working so hard to bring in the money that does put a roof over our head and food in our belly and, clothes on our back. So in that moment, I decided from this point forward, I was always going to be really grateful for the paycheck and really grateful for all the bills that it did cover, even if it didn't cover all of them. And we had to wait till the next paycheck to do the rest, right? And that shifted the experience completely for me. Instead of feeling dread or the lack of the money or just frustrated or anything like that, I started to feel, or kind of like that poor me type mentality, right? I started to instead embrace it and just be excited and be like very appreciative. Like I would literally pay a bill and I would be like, thank you for being able to pay this bill. That felt amazing. And I'm so appreciative that we did. And once that shifted my perspective around paying bills, then I no longer dreaded payday or bills coming in. It was just like the stress went away, these expectations in my mind of what, how I was supposed to pay the bills and all of this stuff just shifted into a more enjoyable experience and feeling really excited that, hey, we got to pay this bill. That felt fantastic. And I don't know, it just made life better just by switching my mindset around that. So that's my example. Maybe there's something that in your life you're thinking that is really stressful or you don't enjoy doing, and how can you tweak your mindset or your perspective around it? What can you think about instead, or what can you be grateful for instead of feeling frustrated with the process? And just play around with it and see how it changes your just feelings inside your body and how you're approaching things, and maybe how it just kind of ripples out to all the other areas of your life. So play around with it and see what you think. For me, it was a game changer. So I hope it'll be beneficial for you as well. Today, I want to talk about how important it is for us to believe in ourselves. And this is something that I am relearning myself this year. That has been my word of the year. Back in December, I think I heard people being like, what's your word for 2020? And I was like, I don't know. I don't usually pick a word for the year. But I was like, you know what? This year I'm going to do it. And I'm going to pick the word believe. And oh, the ice cream truck's going by now. I was like, what is that music? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm hearing it. So the ice cream guy is in the neighborhood. So believing in yourself, so important. And I remember thinking as a kid that, when I think back as myself as a child, I believed in myself quite a bit. And I don't even know where that came from. It was just something within me. And I just think it's really interesting that as a child, even though I wasn't getting a ton of encouragement or like nourishing or gentleness or all that stuff, I still had this innate ability to believe in myself. And I think part of it was also that growing up in a really small town, and with all the judgment that comes from a small town, it was like it gave you that thick skin, right? So, plus I also remember like my biggest pet peeve in high school was when you were getting towards senior year and people would say,
oh, you're getting ready for the real world. And I was like, are you kidding me? The real world? Like, sure, sweet. I'm excited for the next stage. Like, I don't know what's going to be more real about that world than what I've already been experiencing. So I just always remember having this like confidence and belief in myself as like I could do what I wanted to do. And I mean, maybe I didn't feel that confident always in like my appearance, but I felt really confident in my abilities to succeed at what I put my mind to. So I think belief can also, as I'm saying that, can show up in different ways in our life, right? We might believe in ourselves in one area, but maybe not the other. We may feel really confident in one area, but not another. And I think it's great to be aware of where we're feeling insecure and kind of discover that, uncover what's underneath that insecurity, and how can we nourish that side of ourselves so that that insecurity can kind of move on from our life. So really, the judgment from my small town was great training for me, practicing, not worrying so much about what other people thought about the things I wanted to do. However, I've discovered all of a sudden one day as an adult, and I don't even know what day this was, but I forgot how to believe in myself and in my abilities and what I'm capable of, and that I can achieve the goals that I go after. And I literally don't know what day that was where my belief and my confidence started to shift. Maybe it was a slow progression, and it just like one day I realized, whoa, I am not feeling as confident in myself. I'm filled with more fear than I am with confidence. And so now I'm really working on remembering who I am and remembering that inner belief and that inner just like confidence of that I am capable and I am able and to do what I want to do. And it doesn't really matter if other people agree with what I want to do or not, right? And that in itself, I think, is really powerful when, we fully understand that how other people see what we're doing doesn't really matter. Not everyone will get you, but some will. And I think about like, not everyone likes puppies, which blows my mind, but some people just literally don't like puppies. And I'm like, that's a sad life that you don't like puppies, right? But for them, for some reason in their mind, puppies are no good. So that's like a real perspective shift for me. It's like, not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone likes puppies. And like, if you can't like a puppy, it just takes it so it's not so serious against myself. It's not so personal. If somebody doesn't like me or agree with something I'm doing or would even have the same goal, because they can have those opinions because their life is completely different than mine, and so they're welcome to have their own perspective because they're living their life and I'm living my life. And very seldom our life's on the exact same path, if ever. We're all going to have different experiences and different desires, and what I value in a relationship, somebody else may not value in a relationship, so it's just filled with, it just helps me return to, what do I want? What feels good for me? What do I want to do? And then how can I do that even when I'm feeling scared or a little bit insecure or unsure, or I don't know how to do it? And this is why I'm encouraging myself to take action even when I'm scared or my skills are really low or my end product doesn't look the same as somebody who is really good at it. Like, for example, a YouTube video, right? I decided a couple years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. I mean, my YouTube channel is a few years old, but I wasn't really consistent on anything. And then when I decided to do the podcast, I was like, you know what? Because they ask you in like marketing stuff, or when you're doing some business classes, they're like, well, what are you really good at? What do people always ask you about? And I was like, you know what? All of my friends and a lot of my family, whether they admit it or not, or give me any credit for it, ask me for relationship advice and fitness and wellness tips all the time. Like, there isn't a week that goes by where somebody in my life isn't asking me a tip or advice or my perspective on something when it comes to relationship or health, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to put this podcast together, even though I don't know how to do it at all. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if anyone will ever listen to this, and I'm going to start doing YouTube videos, even though I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't even know about lighting or what kind of camera to use or how to edit, or, I don't have a team of people to help me, and this is not my forte. I've spent 0 time in my life learning how to do anything with this technology. And so it felt really overwhelming. But now as I look through the years, like especially the last 2 years, I've definitely have so much improvement. But, my goal isn't to be the number one YouTuber. My goal is to be somebody who provides value to the people who comes to my content and who walks away feeling like they have a new tip, or they have a new perspective, or they have something that they could apply to their life, or something that they could try, or that they got, a real answer on something, not something that was fabricated or made up so that they could get more views, but that it was just genuinely my experience. And so I just decided to show up online and to share my experiences and my education with you. And I even break the rules, right? And a lot of the marketing classes that I've taken, or like whenever you watch a webinar on like coaching and how to get more clients, or how to, whatever, have more of an impact, they're always like, don't tell the how, make them pay you for the how. And I'm just like, nope, that's not me. I'm going to tell you the how. So that's why with a lot of my content, I tell you the how. And then with my clients, we dig in deeper and personalize it for their situation if they want that. Otherwise, it's like, you know what? I'm going to tell you the how because that's important. And not everyone has the financial ability to invest in a coach or into these mastermind classes and stuff like that. And so I just feel like some people are able to do stuff at home. And so here's the how. And you can, if you want more guidance on it, then you can decide to invest in a coach that speaks to you. And so as I've been remembering how to believe in myself, I've really been learning that the relationship with yourself is the most important relationship. So that's kind of always been in the back of my mind. But the more I'm doing things that feel scary for me, the more I'm showing up, the more I'm coming out from hiding, as in a way, I realize that it's how I treat myself, how I show up for me is the most important thing. Yes, it's phenomenal. I love it. My love language is words of affirmation and quality time. So I love it when people clap for me. Like I'm like, oh, yay, thank you. Or, that feels really good to be acknowledged or to feel loved through words. However, I've discovered that the words from myself are the most important. Like if somebody else is saying, yay, you can do it. But in my head, I'm saying, no, I can't. There's no way I can do it. I'm not good enough. I will never do it. So I have to believe in myself. I have to be able to talk to myself. Even if I don't believe in myself fully, even if I just have like a little spark of belief, like maybe I could do it. Well, I could give it a shot. I could try today and see what that feels like, and I can learn. I could start here and not expect it to be perfect and then start to make progress on it. And then it's actually really fun to see my progress. It's really cool to see where I started not knowing how to do anything and then where I am later, after I've put in some practice and some research and some, hard work. It's really actually cool to see the progression of your skills when you start at something that you had no idea how to do. So how I treat myself and how I talk to myself is key. It is going to be more important than how anyone else treats me or how anyone else talks to me. It's also going to dictate how I let other people treat me or how I let other people talk to me, And the more you believe in yourself, the more confidence, the more secure you have, the less crappy people you're going to let be in your life, And that includes the crappiness and the way that you're treating yourself. One thing I do also talk with my clients about is like, hey, with the things you're saying in your head, would you let anyone else say those to you? No. So be your own friend. Like, speak to yourself the way you would want your friends and your family to speak to you. If you could create the most supportive person in your life, if you could create them, write them out, put in all the ingredients of what you would want in the most supportive, encouraging person in your life, be that person. You can be that person for yourself. And I think that is something that I am truly stepping into in all ways. And there will be moments where I'll catch myself saying something to myself like, oh, I'm not good enough to do that. And then I'm like, hold on, girl. You're learning. Someday you will have the skills to do this so that you feel really confident in it. But right now you're just going to start anyway, and it's going to be messy, and you're going to be okay with it being messy because you're taking steps forward. And also, this is one that I think sometimes we don't realize, but when we're spending time with people and the way they're talking about themselves in front of you. So the thing about our subconscious and, it's going to soak in what we're hearing other people say. So that's why when Jim Rohn was like, you become the 5 people you spend your most time with. Well, to me, it's like, how are your friends talking when you're around them? Are they saying good things about themselves, or are they beating themselves up the whole time? Are they saying really negative things about themselves? Because your mind isn't going to know that they're talking about them. You're going to start taking that in yourself. And so if you have a friend like that, I would encourage you to mention to them hey, I notice when we spend time together, you say a lot of really negative things about yourself, and, that doesn't feel good. So I had to have a conversation with one of my friends, because I noticed that after I spent time with this friend, I started to become really insecure because of the things I was hearing her say. My subconscious was taking it on as my reality as well. And I just realized I don't feel very good after spending time with her. I feel really self-conscious now. I'm doubting myself more. I'm thinking that I'm less attractive. All of these things were going on in my mind. And so I mentioned to her, hey, you're so hard on yourself that it's actually starting to affect me now as well. And she was like, oh, whoa, okay. And so she was open to receiving that, and she stopped being as hard on herself in my presence anyway. So if you do have a friend like this, either block those comments. So as soon as she says something negative or he says something negative, you have a go-to statement, like a go-to mantra or a go-to affirmation that blocks it and keeps you feeling like you're in your alignment and you're feeling, high vibes. You're feeling really good about yourself. So for instance, it could be something just as simple as I am enough. So every time you hear somebody say something negative about themselves, you just say in your head, I'm enough. I'm enough. And then you can continue engaging in the conversation, because you want to block that negative from you and overpower it with the positive things you're saying to yourself. And I don't know, give it a shot. See what you think. And also remember, if you are setting a boundary with your friend or someone in your life that is really negative when you talk to them, remember, boundaries are a great way to continue a relationship. When somebody's setting a boundary, it's not to end the relationship or to shame the person or to tell them that they are bad and that you are good. It is to say, hey, I really value our relationship and I want our relationship to continue. And that is why I am telling you this information, and what will you do with it? And again, as I mentioned earlier, not everyone has to believe in you for you to do what's on your heart. But you do. You need to believe in you. Okay? another thing that I've been doing to help me with understanding that not everyone is going to believe in me is that some people are going to say yes and some people are going to say no, right? So even when it comes to my podcast and asking guests to come on. So I've reached out to people who have a large audience, and some of them say yes and some of them say no, and some of them never even read my messages, right? And I don't take it personal. They probably get so many messages every single day. Who knows if they ever even see mine? Maybe their calendar's so busy. Maybe they only do like 3 podcasts a year and mine isn't on their radar. So they're not interested, or they don't want to talk about relationships or personal development. You know, there's so many things that can go into that, where people, you know, it's not about me. It's not that, oh, well, your podcast isn't good enough for me to be on. And maybe for somebody it is that. Like maybe some people are like, no, I don't even know who you are. Your following's way too small. I'm not going to waste my time being on your show because it's not going to do anything for me. Maybe some people are like that, and that is so okay because that doesn't affect me. I just keep reaching out to people and asking them to be on my podcast. And now I'm at the point where I get people reaching out to me asking to be on my podcast. And so that feels really good too. You know, I just continue to show up and ask the people that I want to come on, and maybe someday they'll say yes and maybe they won't. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be just fine. So I wanted to share with you. Now, you may already know this story, but maybe you don't. So KFC, huge franchise, right? Most everybody knows of KFC. Maybe you've eaten at one. Maybe you've driven by. But Colonel Sanders, he created this secret chicken recipe that he developed when he was working at his own like little roadside restaurant during the Great Depression, right? He was like, this is a great recipe. I've nailed this. So he wanted to, so that restaurant burned down, I think is what happened. And so he was like, you know what? I'm going to try to sell this recipe and create a chain. And he got 1,009 no's before he finally got a yes. And KFC was born. So could you imagine if he didn't believe in himself, if he didn't believe in that recipe? Well, KFC wouldn't exist, you guys. So he got 1,009 no's and kept going, woke up every day and kept going because he believed in himself. He knew that eventually there would be a yes. And so whether that, and in his case, he needed the yes to come from somebody else, right? But a lot of times the yes needs to come from you, and you need to be your first yes. So once you become your first yes, incredible things can happen because you're starting this new and intense and just like incredible relationship with yourself where you're cultivating this inner love, this inner belief, this inner knowing that you are capable and you are enough and your stuff is good and your stuff is great, right? And this is why I think it's so important to spend a few moments every day just connecting with you. So whether that's through meditation or being out in nature or when you take your shower or whatever it is, just taking a few moments for yourself, connecting with you and nourishing you and figuring out if you are in a good space that feels like you're, you know, feeling kind of like high vibrations, you're in alignment, you have set an intention for the day, whatever language you use around it, right? Just that you're taking time for yourself and to get to know yourself and to learn to trust yourself and to remind yourself that, you know what, whatever these other people said to you, that yes, maybe they hurt your feelings at the time. And a part of you started to believe what they said. You were like, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough or funny enough or whatever it is, right? And then you remind yourself that little spark that's deep within, that's within your soul that tells you, you are good enough. And maybe it's just a whisper at first. And your soul is telling you, you are good enough. You are smart enough. You are capable. You are skilled. You can do this. You can learn. You're a great learner. You're dedicated and you're hardworking and you're already impacting people. That person at the store that you smiled at, that it impacted them that day, that made a difference in their day. Sometimes the ripples that we put out into the world seem so small that we think they're insignificant, that we think they don't matter, when really they do. They do matter. Every kindness that you do for somebody else impacts so many people, even when you never see it. And you believing in yourself and doing what's on your heart impacts you so much, and it ripples out as well and influences so many other people. Somebody may be in your kind of orbit or your atmosphere, your environment, and they're watching you, not in a creepy way, but they're watching you and they're inspired by you. They're inspired by the action that you take, by the struggles that you're overcoming, by you showing up and believing in yourself. It is not an easy thing to do, to believe in yourself when the world or so many other people are telling you that you're not worth believing in. But you are worth believing in, and you know this deep within you. And this is why we need to believe in ourselves. And whatever it is that you want to do, no matter how big or how small you think it is, it matters. And you are capable of doing it. If it comes to you, if the idea is within you, it's because you can do it. And these things will be different for everyone. For somebody, it could be moving away from home to go experience a new town or go to college somewhere far away, or to take that job that's on the other side of the country or in another country altogether. But your heart's longing for you to do it. But somebody else is like, that's a bad idea. I wouldn't do it. And you're like, oh, maybe they're right. And then a little part of your light feels like it dies because you're not listening to yourself and to your heart that knows you best. Nobody in the entire world knows you like you know you. People might know you really well, and that's wonderful. And other people, you might have someone else that believes in you, and that's wonderful. And again, I'll remind you that I believe in you, and I will believe in you so strongly until one day you believe in yourself. And then it won't matter if I believe in you or not. So if you need a boost in belief, I am that boost for you. I believe in you. I know you can do it. Whether, like I said, it's moving across town or it's becoming an astronaut and going all the way to space. What's on your heart is there for a reason, and it matters. And maybe you need to take baby steps, and you're not this like huge long jumper that can just blast off and float for a while before you land. That's okay. Baby steps still get you going to where you want to go. The whole point is that when you believe in yourself, your actions start to match that belief and you start taking steps forward. And when you believe in yourself and you take a step backwards, it's okay, because then you'll take 2 steps forward as you continue to learn and to grow. And I just want to remind you that you've got this, that you are fully capable. You can learn the skills you need to learn. The most important thing to do is open up space for you to be you and to shine like only you can. To cheer yourself on the way you need to be cheered on. To treat yourself in a way that helps you accomplish what you want to accomplish, whatever that is. Whether it's to write a book, write some poems, have a dog, open a sanctuary, or be a vet assistant. Whatever is on your heart is good enough, and you are good enough to do that. So as you go about your day, just be aware of how you're talking to yourself and how you're treating yourself, and realize it's time to elevate. It's time to love yourself harder, to believe in yourself more, to understand that fear can come on the journey with you, but it doesn't get to lead the journey. You get to lead the journey, your soul, your love, your aspirations, your desire. Whatever's pulling on your heart, that gets to lead. And fear can just be a reminder of that. This is something that you actually want. This is something you want to be a part of your life. Fear isn't there to stop you. It's there to say, hey, you're on the right path. Welcome to your future. This life is meant for you to do what's on your heart, regardless of what that is and if other people get it or not. If you get it, that's what's important. And you matter. And the world needs whatever it is that's on your heart. The world needs you as you are, as your real self, because you're enough. And what you want to do is phenomenal. So as you go through this week and you step into September, give yourself the chance to be more of who you are. Love yourself a little harder. Expand your belief in who you are and what you can do and accomplish. And just know that I am cheering you on, and I believe in you. And I'm part of your team, the team that believes in you and knows that you are valuable and knows that you're enough and know that you can do great things. As we wrap up today, I am sending so much love to you. And if you close your eyes and meditate and breathe in the love and exhale some more love, maybe our love bubbles will connect and we will feel our hearts expand for that day, for that moment. And we'll feel full, and our belief in ourselves will grow. Remember, you're incredible. Remember to have some fun today, to fill your life with joy, and to know that you can make it through any challenge life sends at you. Because you're strong, you're capable, and you can learn any skill you need to learn. Have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today, and make sure to share this episode with someone and leave a review. And remember, you're worthy of incredible love.